Hi everybody, this is Amanda Ellis of amandaellis.co.uk, Facebook page Angelic Celestial Colours, and you're watching me on my YouTube channel Amanda Ellis 11. Hi, it's the 27th of December 2017 and I'm sitting here a little bit bunged up, so excuse me if I cough and splutter my way through this. A little bit looking like sort of Shaggy off Scooby-Doo, because I've had 2 appointments I've had to cancel at the hairdresser because it's just been a very strange Christmas with lots of odd things happening. Nothing has gone according to plan, and I'm hearing from a lot of you that it's a very common theme. So I sat down today and I said to Metatron, okay, why has it been so difficult? Why is it so hard? Those of you that follow me know that I think it was the first December video I made, Metatron came through with a message. Archangel Metatron, who's my channel, came through with a message where he told us to reset our expectations for Christmas. And boy, does that make sense now, you know, on the 27th, because that's exactly what we had to do. If we didn't do, we're probably still flailing around a bit and wondering why it wasn't the traditional Christmas that we've had in the past, why it hasn't felt the same. More than anything, even if you haven't had circumstances and challenges thrown at you, although I know a lot of you have, it hasn't felt the same. And so I wanted to explore that today. I wanted to think about, well, what's been happening energy-wise? What are the lessons in this? What are we supposed to understand from this? And I've sat down, as I say, I've got a quiet hour now to myself, and you know, I've lit my candle, I've got my crystals out that I want to show you, I've got 2 decks of cards that I might dip into. And I sat here and I was shuffling one deck of cards, which is the Earth Magic deck by Stephen Farmer. And I was just shuffling them and one of them flew out of the deck. And the card that flew out of the deck is this one, which is the Milky Way card, okay? It's the card of the Milky Way, so it denotes the wider galaxy and universe, and it asks us to look at perspective, okay? So I thought, okay, that's interesting. I'll, you know, try and build that into whatever is going to come through in this video. And then I heard very distinctly Metatron's voice, and he said, start the video with once upon a time. I thought, once upon a time? How can I sit here as a 50-year-old woman and introduce my video as once upon a time? People really will think I've gone off my rocker. He said, no, once upon a time. So I'm going to do it, but then he added a few other words. And the few other words he mentioned was once upon a time in a galaxy far, far away. Once upon a time in a galaxy far, far away. So I sat with that for a few minutes and I thought, that sounds familiar. I've heard that before. Where have I heard that from? So I went to Google, as you do, and it's the first lines in Star Wars. I don't know which Star Wars, maybe it comes in every single film, I don't know, I haven't seen the latest one. But it obviously was a line that's very much tied into the Star Wars franchise. And I've just Googled and I've said, what did George Lucas have in mind with that phrase, a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away? I've always been confused why a futuristic series was set in the past. And the answer here is, it says one idea is that what you will see as futuristic is that there is technology that you have never seen here. But on the other hand, the story itself is ancient. It could have taken place a long, long time ago, because the story is not about lightsabers and laser guns. The story is about loyalty in the face of despair, a rebellion, a semi-heroic character who saves a princess for the money, or maybe for the honour. These themes are not bound in time. It talks about another film called The Hidden Fortress, which I don't know, which is the inspiration for the story. But there's something here. Star Wars has been referenced before by Metatron, and there is the latest film out, isn't there? which I haven't seen, so maybe I need to go and see that this Christmas time. Those of you that are Star Wars buffs that are watching, maybe you can help me out here. Why did that line come through? But all I'm going to say now is what I understand and what came through last night. And then maybe that's going to make more sense what I've just said later on in the video. Before I share some of the guidance that came through, let's just put it into context. This Christmas, I hope you watching this have had a great Christmas. I hope that your Christmas has run smoothly. I hope that you've had a happy time. I truly wish that, and I'd like to hear about those stories, because what I'm hearing actually are stories that are the counter to that. People that have been very ill over Christmas, people that have lost people that they love over Christmas, people that have been incapacitated in some form over Christmas, relationships that have ended over Christmas, circumstances that are just odd. To take it down to a personal level, certainly in my own life, I was unwell before Christmas, but I'm okay. I've sort of battled through it. But my mother has been ill, my father has been ill, my husband is ill. He's literally he's been unable to move for virtually the whole of the Christmas holiday with his foot up. My mother-in-law is ill. I have somebody else in my family who's fallen over and fractured their arm in 2 places. I've got other friends that have broken their ankles. It's not just me. I'm hearing these stories, and it's the big things and it's the little things. It's even in, you know, the meal I cooked on Christmas Day was absolutely dreadful. And I'm actually quite a good cook, even though I say so myself. I'm quite a good cook. I know how to cook. The meal, just everything went wrong with it. You know, it was revolting, to be perfectly honest. And I didn't even want it by the time I served it up. The whole day just conspired to be not what is traditionally expected. Even trying to tune into the beautiful Christ light energy over Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, I struggled with it a bit this year. I was prevented from doing some of the things I wanted to do on Christmas Day. I wanted to go for a swim in the sea. I wasn't well enough. Everything was just, it felt like everything was conspiring to try to, in a 3D sense, spoil the day. But I knew there had to be a deeper meaning to it. I knew there needed to be a higher meaning to it. And then I started hearing from a number of you who said, you know, I'm just not feeling I'm not feeling the Christmas spirit this year. Where's it gone? You know, where's the soul? Where's the heart? And tuning in last night, one of the things that the Christ energy in particular was talking to me about, and I'm saying the Christ energy because well, hear me out here. It's very interesting. Those of you, again, that have followed my work this year, I've talked a lot about the ascended Christ, who is not identified with the cross, who's not identified with suffering anymore. He wants to be seen as this, okay? This is my little depiction of him that I've shown you before, okay? The ascended Christ, who is available for all. Anybody of any faith can link into this beautiful energy, which is about opening up your heart, forgiveness, love, unconditional love. It's what he was always about, you know. Drop all the dogma, drop all the institutional barriers to getting to him, getting to a personal relationship with him, and just open your heart and allow him in. And I suppose in a lot of ways, if you think what we've said last Easter was that he doesn't want to be identified with the cross anymore. He doesn't want to be identified with the suffering anymore. That was almost like the end of the old story, wasn't it? You know, the story in the Bible, the story in the New Testament starts with his birth, ends with his death and his ascension. Although strangely, of course, they don't talk much about the ascension. It's all about the death and the blood and the sacrifice. But if that is a story, and it's a story that we've believed, we've held true, it's been dear to us, but we're being asked to not forget the end part, the crucifixion, but to not be fixated on it as the only way to connect into the Christ energy, then it makes sense that also we're being asked to not just fixate on expecting to get putting it crudely, our Christ fix at Christmas time via the birth and the Nativity. And a lot of people who don't follow mainstream religion, you know, will go to church on Christmas Day. It is literally like, that's the one day of the year. Everybody goes, they turn up, certainly in the past they used to, and, you know, they receive that beautiful Christ light, and everybody is tied into the story of the Nativity. It's a beautiful, beautiful story. Nobody is asking you to let that go. But what I found this year is when I actually tried to go into it, I didn't feel the energy there as strongly, and I questioned it, and I thought, well, why can't I connect with it in a way that I've been able to connect with it in past years? And then it just became really obvious. It was like Christ was saying, but I'm not there. I mean, I am there, but actually it's like that constitutes the traditional story we've all grown up with. And what he's showing us here is there is a whole new story to come. There is a whole new book, you know, talking symbolically, that wants to be opened, which we discover through our hearts, which he tells us personally, individually, connecting with him on an individual basis. And that's the story, those are the messages, that is the energy that he wishes to share now with us. So it's a bit like what he's saying to me, it's a bit like what we have within the Gospels is important, will always be important, should never be forgotten, always needs to be honoured for those that wish to honour it and believe in it and hold it true to their heart. And I would include myself in that. But yet he is saying it's like an old favourite story that we've got locked into. And there is a new book. There's a new Christ in town, basically. And yes, you can find him in the manger. Yes, you can find him on the cross. But actually, there are other places now to reach him. And there are other days on which to reach him, i.e. every single day of the year. There is so much expectation placed on one day, you know, and it's like anything. If you place a lot of expectation on something, it can disappoint you. And so what I found was symbolically, I suppose, an empty manger. Yes, he was there. I could see the infant. I could see the symbology of the day. But it's like the energy wasn't quite where it was this time last year. If I'm absolutely brutally honest, I started to pick this energy up a year ago. And I think I talked about the fact that we needed to still be respecting the traditions. And I'm talking here widely, no, not taking it away from the Christ energy, just the whole thing about Christmas and traditions. And yes, they're important, but we're being asked to build new ones. You know, chatting it over with my sister-in-law yesterday, who's a Buddhist actually, and she felt exactly the same thing, that again, for different reasons, personal reasons to her, it had been a different type of Christmas. It hadn't felt like Christmas. And she said, you know, next year I want to do something different. You know, I fancy going to Morocco and sitting on a beach. And that doesn't have to be about, you know, affluence or decadence in any way. Not that that's what she was wanting, but it's to do with breaking tradition, doing something different. And I'm a lover of all things Christmas. I've always loved it up to this point in time. But this year was something where something changed for me. And I thought, no, I need to do it differently next year. I need to do it completely differently. And I don't think it is just practical. I think it is to do with, it's multi-layered. That's what I'm being shown. So practically, we're being asked to introduce some new traditions. I did actually talk about this in the early December video. I just didn't get to do some of the new traditions I wanted to do, like swim in the sea. But that's what's coming through. But I'm also feeling it more multi-layered than that. And I think there's something spiritual going on around this time of year. And it's like we're looking to the manger. We're looking to that old story to fill us up with the Christ light that we need to get us through January, February, March, or through the year. And it's there, of course. And it's nourishing to a degree, but it's not going to be as nourishing as this new story that wants to come in. And my God, wow, the energy of this new story that wants to come in, because this is the multi-dimensional Christ, and this is the Christ that's linked into all of the ascended masters, into Buddha, into the galactics, into Krishna, into Muhammad, all of it. It is going to blow people's minds. And I think for that to even come in as an energy, something big has to happen to smash the old mindset that a lot of people have in this world. And I didn't think I was going to be sitting here saying this today, but I am going to say it because it feels very strong. I'm actually feeling as though disclosure is getting nearer and nearer and nearer. It's interesting. I've set some crystals up on my desk here, and I actually feel that they tell a story as I'm looking at them. And there's also an essence that I've put here. And yes, I do understand the significance of what I'm showing you here. It's the bark flower remedy, okay? Why is my camera not focusing today? Come on, maybe it's feeling out of sorts as well. Can you see that? Is that starting to, it's not really, is it? Oh, there we go. The bark rescue remedy for Star of Bethlehem, okay? Now this traditionally is one that you keep in reserve for when you've had a big shock, okay? And, you know, it is the big shocks in life. It's, you know, the death of somebody but actually as I'm sitting here, although a lot of people do pass over at Christmas time, and that might come in sadly for some of us, I'm feeling this is death of the old, okay? It's death of the old, and it's also death of, I can't even speak, it's death of the old self, okay? Excuse me, I'm actually going to have to clear my throat having said that. Okay, Metatron's saying to me, those of you that have been ill over Christmas, and I've been unwell, and for me it's been centering on my throat chakra, because it's my throat chakra that is upgrading because I'm a teacher. And also it's my heart has also, my lungs and my heart area has been suffering a little bit. That's what's being upgraded for me. But if you've been unwell over Christmas, or one of my teachers has stumbled and had a bad fall as well, so it's affected her in a different way, that's happening as well. Look at the significance of what you have, what's been compromised, what is needing to be rebuilt, okay? Because that's your clue in a way in terms of what's really going to be strengthened over the coming year. But Star of Bethlehem, which I'm just going to take a drop of on my tongue now for all of us, is to do with, it might not be what Dr. Bark himself said, but what I'm feeling here is it's linked into death of the old, okay? So with the bark rescue remedy and any of the bark remedies, this one's Star of Bethlehem, as I say, you put it on your tongue, that's how I use them. I'm feeling we need a bit of that. Colour energies that we need is the orange. I've actually put these two together today. I've put the energy of hope, which links to me also into the new ascended Christ energy and the birth of the divine feminine, and I've put Archangel Metatron flame orange, okay? Let's just put a bit of both of those around me as well. I'm going to show you my crystals because I was talking about disclosure. Getting closer. I can't give you a date. I'm not going to give you a date. I'm just going to say it's coming closer. I can almost taste it, it's tangible. Some of the crystals that I've got sitting here on my desk, I've got galaxyite. Wow, can you see that? You see how beautiful that is? It's really glistening with all the different colours in it, okay? I wish I hadn't said I was going to do this now, because now my mind's gone blank. Please apologise for myself because I'm not on top form today. Opal Aura, I think these are, okay? Opal Aura. And I bought these to make a galactic spray last year. Haven't done so yet. That's obviously coming in. This one is, what is that one? Imperial Rainbow Quartz, something like that. Beautiful. Again, you can just see, it's like an out of this world colour, isn't it? I've got Aqua Aura sitting here. I've got my Boji stones, which I managed to find, balancing my male and female. I've got Rose Quartz, Mango Calcite, and I've got Citrine. Okay, let's ask Metatron about disclosure. I need to get my galactic being head. Hold on. Star being, okay. It is coming and we are coming. And what I'm being shown is quite interesting, actually. If you think about the energy of the Christ light, for example, it's about opening our hearts to receive it. With the galactics, it's a little bit different. What I'm being shown is we need to open our minds. That doesn't mean, of course, that the heart isn't important to welcome their energy in, but actually what's preventing their full disclosure is mankind's closed mind set. And religion plays a huge part in this, that this is the way it's always been, this is what we believe, this is our structure, this is what we do. And as soon as the galactics appear in a real, meaningful way, because I know they've appeared to many of you already, I'm talking here about wider society, collective, it is going to smash into smithereens so much of old thinking. Books will have to be rewritten. I'm hearing the word renaissance. We will have the most beautiful renaissance. What a beautiful word renaissance is. But it's mind-based. They first come in via our mind, okay? It's about changing our mindset. And so there is going to be, I'm hearing, an opening of many people's third eyes over and above what anybody has experienced up to this point in time. This is true for those who are already spiritually awake and can already see spirit, sense spirit, taste spirit. But it is also going to apply for those that are not awake. And I feel as though many people, I want to say, are going to be wrongly diagnosed in terms of having hallucinations or seeing visions, whereas actually what they are seeing is a different version of reality that does not fit the standard textbook. But that does not mean that people are insane, okay? Obviously there are still sick people in our society who are insane, who are mentally challenged, but there is definitely going to be an increase in the number of people that see things that cannot be explained, that cannot be batted away. I saw the film Scrooge over Christmas, and I almost turned it off actually, and I'm glad I didn't, because it was the very, very old version of Scrooge, Christmas Carol, black and white. I don't know when it was made, 1940s maybe, no idea. It was really old-fashioned. You know, my kids were like, "Oh God, do we have to watch this?" And I said, "No, it's. I'm told it's a masterpiece. This film. Let's watch it." And I'm really glad I did, because the lead character in the story of Charles Dickens' Christmas Carol, Ebenezer Scrooge, he is this, I want to say creature, because he's not even really a human being at the beginning of the book and the beginning of the film, who is completely and utterly 3D. But lower 3D, you know, a miser whose heart and mind are completely and utterly closed to anybody else. Also whose heart and mind are closed to themselves as well. But what happens within the story of Christmas Carol is that his world is shook, you know, by visions that come to him. You know, the ghost of Christmas past, the ghost of Christmas future. But he is shown, spirits show him that his reality on the world is not the correct one. And of course, it's a beautiful story, actually. Those of you that don't know it, please read it or see the film. He goes through this process of complete transformation. And at the end of, obviously, all these visits from spirit, he becomes a better man. And I feel as though there's a lot been written over the years about, you know, when disclosure happens, when the galactics step in, what's that going to do? Are they going to be trying to attack our planet and, you know, whatever? No, what I'm sensing is the ones that come forward are full of love, and they are actually here to help illuminate us and bring in the new age, okay? To shatter the old mindsets that need to be shattered. But I think it's still up for debate in terms of quite how it happens, you know, whether it's the big reveal as in like Close Encounters of the Third Kind with the flashing lights in the sky, or whether it's a much more gentle process. I don't quite know yet, and I don't want this video to be taken over on that subject. But I am just saying today, on the 27th of December 2017, definitely getting the message coming through that disclosure is getting closer. And that's exciting, and it's needed. And it's needed for all of us to widen our horizons, that, you know, we don't just live on Earth. We are a member of the Milky Way. We're a member of the wider universe. We are galactic citizens just as much as we are earthly citizens. So it's exciting, it's really exciting. But I tell you what, it's, you know, next year is going to be a year of just huge shake-up. And again, back to the challenges, back to the illness, back to all of the difficult things that have happened around Christmas time, maybe going into New Year as well. What I'm being shown is that we are at the end of something. We are at the end of the old way. And what happens when you're at the end of the story is actually... because what I'm actually feeling I want to say to you is that this story almost should have ended a few years ago. It's interesting, isn't it? All the stuff about 2012 and the fact we were supposed to be bringing all these changes in. The ascension path was going to be opening up to so many more people. It happened in part. It didn't happen in at the level that was initially planned. And so I feel as though this story is getting a bit stale now, you know, the old story of the old Earth. The new Earth wants to come through. Funny also, beautiful Petra, who sent me this lovely... I've opened this morning, Petra. I've played her music before to you. And this is Petra's new CD. Petra Dobrovlmi, is that how you say your name? Apologies. But can you see what she's called her music? It's called Song of the New Earth. Okay, and we've got the beautiful Nautilus shell in the middle. I'll put the link to her website up so you can maybe order these. I've only played this one myself this morning, and the other one she sent me is this one, which is Earth Grid Healing, okay, and DNA Upgrade, okay. I mean, these are all just huge topics, and I'm going to come back to them time and time again in 2018. I just wanted, I suppose, to set the scene before we get into New Year, and to let you know that you're not going mad. You know, if things have gone awry, are going wrong, it's been a weird Christmas, don't worry about it. You know, it's been happening to a lot of us. It is to do with the end of the old way. It's also to do with the fact that we're looking, almost sort of like want to say, we're looking in the wrong place for our fix, you know, for our fix of upgrade energy, which we usually get at this time of the year. It is still there, but it needs to come in a much more personal, individual way. And it's about doing the work, guys. You know, how many times have you or I or many other people out there said we have to sit down, we have to create time for our practice, we have to meditate, we have to be quiet. Now more than ever, it's so important, okay? Which is why so many of you are feeling that you want to just retreat. You want time alone. You don't want to be necessarily, you know, life and soul of the party. You get invited to the party, but there's a part of you that doesn't even want to go. There's a feeling of retreat. There's a feeling of the hermit needing to pull back at this time. Let's pull a couple of cards and then I'm going to close. Well, another thing I've said here as well, I've written down in my notes, is that this whole thing about Christmas having been not quite what we expected, and wanting to race through to next year to a degree and sort of get back to it, you need to be living in the present moment. So you need to be honouring these feelings that are coming up, feelings of disappointment, feelings of just feeling flat maybe, you know, feeling unwell. You need to honour it. You don't race through it. You know, it's a bit of a sort of like a mini dark night of the soul for all of us at the moment. So don't race through it. There are things to be learnt from this experience right now. I will just say that I said this to a friend the other day on Facebook, who was talking about wanting to almost like take the Christmas decorations down now, get on with the new year. And I thought, yeah, I can relate to that as well. And I wrote this on Boxing Day to her, and I said, I personally feel a bit like the boxer in the ring, you know? I'm hearing the beautiful song by Simon and Garfunkel, The Boxer, now in my head. One of my favourite songs of theirs. And I've seen them perform it live, actually. But I'm hearing The Boxer, and I'm seeing myself, I saw myself in the boxing ring. And you know how you're gearing up for the fight, not a physical fight, it's a spiritual fight, but you know that next year's going to be a big one. There's going to be some great stuff coming in, there's going to be amazing revelations, but yeah, there's going to be some challenges as well. So it's like we're all in the ring, we're all like limbering up, you know? It's like we're wanting to get on with it. But again, the lesson is, no, you have to just be here right now in this present moment. There is stuff to learn between now and, I want to say, the first week of January, okay? Because I don't want to just say till New Year's Eve. It feels as this energy goes into the first week of January, and then we'll look again, okay? Let's just have one card here, Metatron, from this deck. Any guidance welcomed. But yeah, we've got to be flexible at this time. We've got to have no expectations as well. Let go of expectations, let go of control. Okay, which card? Shown you this card before. Eight of Pentacles, that's us. We're caught up in a bit of a spider's web at the moment. But the thing about the spider's web is you can either see it as something which is this horrible, sticky, gloopy mess that if you put your finger into, it's like, yeah, you know? And we just want to sweep out the old cobwebs and we want to get rid of that horrible spider in the corner of our room. Or, this is about being flexible, we can look on this as an object of absolute beauty, you know? Think about what I'm being shown is a spider's web with frost on it, okay? And how beautiful the pattern is, how intricate the pattern is, how clever has that spider been to be able to protect itself, you know? Have that beautiful web around it where it is completely protected, it is able to feed itself in a natural way, and again, the spiders come up a lot of times. You can write it in the comments below on YouTube, but I know the spider is actually quite a fortuitous symbol for all of us. To me, that card is about change of perspective. What do we have? The Milky Way was about perspective. And I'm talking here about let's change our perspective on the spider. Let's change our perspective on the spider's web. It's not a horrible, yucky thing that's sticky and you just want to sweep away. It's actually an object of beauty. That's the whole thing about these days leading into New Year, everyone. It's about we have to change our perspective. And on the bottom of the pack, look at that, we've got the Hanged Man. And the Hanged Man is all about the need to change our perspective. That's why he's upside down, okay? We have to change our perspective because that is we're going to be forced to next year. But for us watching, hopefully me now, you know, it's going to be welcomed. We want to let go of our old mindset. We want to let go of some of these old stories. We're ready for the new chapter. But society, collective consciousness is a bit upside down at the moment, not quite knowing what's going on. So I hope that's given you a little bit more perspective. Let's pull one more card from the Earth Magic deck, and then I'm going to finish there, and then I'll come back in the new year and we'll see how we all are then, shall we? Okay. One final card, please. A nice card to end with. Vulnerability. When things don't go quite according to plan, when we're not feeling that well, when we are challenged, it leads us into a very vulnerable place. But with vulnerability comes the opportunity for great softness, softening, gentleness, opening of the heart. When you're vulnerable, you open yourself up to allow other people to help you. I'm actually going to read the message that goes with the vulnerability card. See what Stephen Farmer has to say. So the card is Meadow. The meadow in this card invites us in with its beauty and openness. The flowers have arranged themselves in a poetic design orchestrated by nature, and the lush rolling fields urge us to relax and stay for a while. Yet for some, the idea of being in such an open space is terrifying, and in an expansive meadow like this, we may feel exposed and defenceless, lacking the perceived safety of an enclosed area. For others, walking through a meadow can be an exquisitely satisfying experience. We can feel comfortable in the openness and the visibility, enjoying the 360-degree view with nothing but the sky above. Yes, we may still feel vulnerable, but with a twist. This is a vulnerability built on the foundation of trust rather than fear, the capacity to trust our own instincts to tell us if there are any potential threats we must respond to. By relying on this instinctual knowing, we can relax and enjoy the beauty that surrounds us. Yeah, so with vulnerability comes strength. Much love, everybody. Group hug. See you in a few days. Bye-bye.